Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here as always. Thank you for watching. You're watching the VSO Gun Channel, and today it's going to be a fun day because we are going to have a debate. I am literally going to go schizo and debate myself on a topic today, which should be fun. But the topic is, should you be using night sights, like tritium night sights, or red dots on your pistols? Well, the short answer is that you should be using both of them. However, the technologies are not equivalent in all applications. And in many instances, one technology will do better than the other and vice versa. And it really depends on the situation. So what I thought we would do is, instead of being like picking a side and like arguing for it and then arguing for the other one, I thought what we would do is kind of like wade into the situations and discuss where each technology does its best and its kind of complementary downsides. And then you can pick for yourself. Now, as far as my biases are concerned, I'll just state them up front. For the longest time, I was an anti-red dots on pistols person. And I still hold a little bit of that, but as my eyes age, I find myself gravitating towards red dots more often. The other thing that I would add to that is I have a severe astigmatism. So red dots don't look good to me, but they are usable. So I still kind of gravitate towards the XS big dot for my defensive sight, which brings me to my second bias, which is today's video is brought to you by XS Sights. I'm very happy that they are a longtime sponsor of the channel, and I have been using their products since before I couldn't see, and I will continue to do so. They are having a President's Day sale. I think that's what the made-up holiday is this time around. But regardless, they're having a 30% off sale. Tritium sights are expensive, so get them when you can at the cheapest rate that you can. And now is a good opportunity. So thank you very much to them for making today's video possible. Having stated my inherent biases, and admittedly they are towards the tritium night sight, I think it's only fair that we start with the largest black mark in that column. And that is, if you intend to use this firearm under night vision, under any circumstances, then the tritium night sight on your pistol is going to be completely worthless. And the reason that is if you've never looked through a night vision unit before, you're going to focus the night vision out there. It has a fixed focal length. And because of that, you have to choose whether it's focused up close or if it's focused out there. You cannot simultaneously do the two. And usually you're going to go to more of a target focus or more of a navigation focus, which is going to be out there. And that means things up close are going to be blurry. Well, when we're talking about things up close, I'm talking about things that are like, if it's focused out there where we want it to be most of the time, then that means things that are like 10 yards away are going to be blurry. Things that are at arm's length are going to be really blurry. We're talking like cinematic movie lights blurry, like in the foreground type stuff, completely unusable and actually kind of occluding if I'm completely honest about it. So not something that you can use under night vision, pretty much under any circumstances. I've tried to do it and it's really, really hard to do. The only chance that you really have is to take a sight focus, which means that you have to unfocus from the thing that you want to shoot at, bring the focus in on the sight of the gun, which you've now raised the gun up and you've done the focus, right? And then you're going to shoot at a blurry thing, okay? That's pretty much the only way that you can get it done. And oftentimes you can't get the front sight and the rear sight in focus at the same time. So really hard to use tritium night sights under night vision. So leaving night vision behind, what does a red dot sight really suck at? Well, a red dot sight does not really adapt to the environment. There are some adaptive sights out there, namely like the Trigicon RMR that uses like the dual illumination technology, the fiber optics and tritium type stuff, right? But most of the red dot sights on the market are not using that technology. They're reliant on a battery that you push the buttons on the side. If you have been out shooting in the daytime with your red dot sight, and then you pull it out of the holster to take a shot at a target that is in the dark, you can't see that target. It is going to occlude the window. So you're going to have this big bloom in your sight because it's set for daytime situation, because that's the last time you shot it was under either ambient light or under daylight. And when you throw that sight up, it's just going to be a big red blob, and you're not going to be able to see through the sight window. So you have to remember when you leave the range to set that thing down on a lower setting. Also, working with lights becomes a problem because you're reliant on that brightness setting on the red dot, the projection of the red dot. You have to also pick a setting, and this is where we're going to require some trial and error on your part for whatever light you are carrying. Some guys will choose to put the light on the end of the pistol. I think that's completely wrong and ass backwards. Stop. Time out, Kurt. No tangents today, bud. Stay on topic. Different discussion for a different day. If you guys want that one, then we'll do it. But the truth of the matter is that you're going to have to do a little bit of situational analysis on your own, so some of your own testing. You're going to need to know how your red dot plays at different settings with different lighting conditions. What's going to be the most applicable? For instance, it's like, okay, well, if I have it here and I step into a really dark area, it's going to bloom versus the street lamps. And then what happens when you add light on top of those different configurations? Because remember, it's not a physical object. It's a projected dot. When we're talking light versus light, the only thing that wins is more light. That's how you fight a really bright light in your face, for instance, is add even more light to it. So do you run the red dot all the way up and know that no matter what, you'd have to add extra light? Maybe that's how you handle it. How I handle it is I gravitate towards the actual iron sights, because they are a physical object that is going to block light bouncing back from the target. So you still be able to use them once you illuminate the target. So you can use the tritium dots to figure out where you are in three-dimensional space if it's really dark. And then once you get kind of close, you can blast the target with copious amounts of white light, flood it with light, and then you'll be able to still see those iron sights because they'll be actually blocking the light coming from the target. And thus we have boiled down the contention between the two sighting systems concisely. We have a binary choice, which is, are we using it under night vision or not? If the answer is no, then you move on to the preference choice, which is personal preference. And then on top of it, how much training do you want to subject yourself to? How much fiddling with your system do you want to do? How much martial integration are you going for here? And that's up to you. Everything else that anybody bolts onto this discussion is simply marketing in one way or the other. Plain and simple. So what I would suggest that you do if you're trying to make this decision is you need to go out and find a place where you can test this stuff for yourself to figure out how much of that do you want to do if you're potentially under stress? How much of that are you willing to work with the fact that you're not going to be able to see a lot of detail on those tritium sights after you blast the target with a whole bunch of light? Because you're going to have to carry a handheld light regardless of whether you have a light on your pistol or not. I just pissed the entire internet off. Again.